Hello?
Hey, I'm trying to reach Jesse James Dupree. It's Tommy at WGRD.
How you doing, Tommy? What's up, man?
Hey, doing good. I thought we had an interview set up for now.
We do, but they told me you were from me.
Okay, well, I'm calling you, man. How you been, brother?
All right. If I was supposed to call you, it's my bad, but they texted me and said, Tommy's going to call you at 12:15.
It's all good. We have connected. How have you been, man?
You know, life is good. You wake up every day and take a big bite out of life fast, and it gets even better whenever I get to know that I'm coming back to the intersection in Grand Rapids, man. We call that place Jackyl's Bar and Grill.
Well, it's going to be a good one coming up November 19th, and if people still want to get some tickets, we've got them for you, sectionlive.com. You know, you guys have been playing for many, many years, and there's probably still a few people out there that have yet to experience Jackyl live. If you could explain to a newbie what that experience would be like.
Well, you know, it's not about coming to see the show. It's about coming to be part of the show. And Tommy, you know that. I mean, it's you know, you come out there, you celebrate the fundamentals of rock and roll, and you get so hot and bothered you don't even make it home before you jump in the back seat and knock out the old dirty. That's why there's generally a baby boom after we leave town. But you know, people that get it, they come out, they celebrate those fundamentals of rock and roll with us. And the people that don't get it, I generally find out are the same people that have a hard time admitting that they masturbate.
Well, now, the band has slimmed down since the early days to a four-piece, but both of the Worley brothers, Jeff and Chris, they're still with you. Now, being in a band is a lot like being married. How have you and the Worleys managed to keep the Jackyl train running so long?
You know, nobody else will have us. It has been a family for a long time. We've been able to, you know, to avoid a lot of the other ups and downs and pitfalls, you know, but yeah, we all still do our own thing. I mean, Roman is making some phenomenal watches. I mean, like literally, he's a watchmaker, and I think it's JOTUN watches. Mm-hmm. If you check it out on social media, so he's making some incredible watches. Jeff and Chris have got a side project that they're in the middle of doing, and Jeff's daughter's actually singing on some of the songs that they've done. It was really cool. And then I've got a solo record that I'm dropping November the 10th called Breathing Fire, and the first single off of that. As a matter of fact, there's several songs on the record that I wrote with the lead singer of AC/DC, Brian Johnson. And, you know, nobody in AC/DC ever works outside of their band. So it's a big honor to, you know, to have Brian entrust me for us to work together and write songs. But it's just a big slab of rock and roll that comes out November the 9th, or November 10th.
Now, this isn't your first time working with Brian Johnson. You guys worked with him back on the Cut the Crap album back in the day on Locked and Loaded. How did this friendship between you guys and Brian come about?
Well, I got invited to go down. There was a big benefit his wife was doing for an old Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Theater in Sarasota, Florida, and I was down there with just some legendary people like, you know, Brian Johnson from AC/DC and Cliff Williams, but also the bass player, but also, I mean, like Donald Duck Dunn was there. You know, Duck Dunn played with Otis Redding and and, you know, with the Blues Brothers and the Blues Brothers movie and all, but it's just a lot of legend people there, and we all had a great jam session, and Brian and I got to be quick friends, and he invited me to come down and write some songs, and we did. And he came up to the studio when we were recording them, and he was watching me sing Locked and Loaded, and it's a very wordy song. And he was kind of getting anxious. I didn't know if I was, you know, sucking really bad or what, but I could tell he was kind of walking around and pacing a little bit. He finally said, "Give me a microphone." And I thought, uh-oh, now here the lead singer of AC/DC is going to show me how to do it. he totally can. But instead he grabbed the pad. He goes, "You sing this line, I'm going to sing that line." And the next thing you know, it turned into a duo. And I was sad. I was really sad, Tommy, because I felt like, well, nobody's ever going to hear this, because he was on one record company and we were on another. And he looked at me and goes, "If you don't mind, I think we should just leave it like that and release it." And I said, "Well, how's that going to happen?" I said, "Your record company's not going to let you be on our record." And he said, "If they want another AC/DC record, they will."
Wow. That's pretty solid right there. Brian seems like a really stand-up guy, man. He's one of the guys that I don't know if he knows how big the band he's in.
Well, you know, Tom, you're no different in the fact, you know, you're in the entertainment business, and you've been successful in what you do. We're all survivors, right? And
right.
There's that crossroads that you come to in life, as being in this entertainment business, and I know you've had to make the same decision, are you going to be a real guy, or are you going to be that guy? Are you going to try to walk around, 24/7 being, that guy and living in star mode? Or are you going to just be a real person and enjoy your life and make real friends? And he's just one of those guys that's a big inspiration, because he's a real guy, and, just like you and I, he puts his pants on one length of time and you just get out there and make friends, and mama would whip you otherwise, right?
Absolutely. Now, it's got to be a joy, you being a father and having your son Nigel play with you in this side project.
Oh man, somebody was asking me the other day, what's it like to play with your son? And Nigel's, he's an incredible drummer. And I said, it's funny because bands can get into the room and they hash out and record songs, and you can get into arguments about parts of songs and whatever. And that's one kind of a thing. But when you get into a healthy discussion like that with your son, and he throws the sticks down and goes, "Dad," that's a whole nother level of a band meeting. But we didn't have that on this album. Actually, he was leading things. I mean, him and Roman are the stars of this solo record that I've got coming out. They just lay down such a backbeat and a groove, and when I say the fundamentals of rock and roll, my son and Roman just define that on this record. And then, of course, having Brian Johnson from AC/DC's Fingerprints on the record is a big honor. And then I just hold on and let it rip. And the song Never Gets Old is doing really great. And it's great to because I wasn't really thinking about the radio side of it, but to see it going up the charts on radio and stuff is just pretty cool.
Now, is there any more songs on there that you got a little help from Brian on?
Yeah. There's a couple more songs. There's a song that he sent me there's a famous actor in England named Jimmy Nell, and there's a song that they had started called Rappa da Papa. And Tommy, it's about the Pope. I never thought I'd be singing a song about the Pope, but it's a fun song, and I actually even get to sing a whole line in Latin. But
wow.
So you imagine my Southern accent singing Latin. But it's a fun record, and yeah, and just the whole thing is just inspired by what made us fall in love with being in a rock band to begin with.
If you put that on the set list, will that be anywhere close to "She Loves My Cock"?
That sweet and tender love song, right? Yeah.
I listened to that record the other day. I hadn't listened to it in years, because I still like to listen to full albums, and I just smiled the whole time. And when that one came up at the end, I thought, oh man, I remember that from back in the day. Yeah, that was interesting, because that song, Walmart refused to carry the record, and Kmart refused to carry it because of that song. So we had to release the album, another version of the album without that song. Just because, we needed to get into Kmart's. And if you go look at the I Stand Alone video, go back and look at I Stand Alone, and in that video, you see us pulling up in front of the tractor trailer, on a tractor trailer rig in front of the Kmart, playing the song, because we figured if the Kmart shoppers couldn't buy our records, we'd just go play for the Kmart shoppers. And of course, I went, that caused me to have to go to jail that day, but nonetheless, we got our point across. Hey, that's rock and roll lore right there, man. That's how you get it done.
That's exactly right. And we got such a history with Michigan. I mean, Ted Nugent carried us on the Whiplash Bash tour back, when he was touring constantly back, the early days. And,
yeah.
And they told us, they said, "You've never been to Michigan before. If they don't accept you, just get off the stage." And we went out, and Michigan is just always wrapped around us. And we found a second home up there. And people in Michigan, they bust their knuckles 40, 50 hours a week or more. When it comes time to rock, they know they're going to get it with Jackyl. And again, it's not about coming to see the show; it's about coming to be part of it. And then they also want a good, liquor drink, which happens to be Jesse James bourbon. And we got a big night lined up at the Intersection, and that's coming up just in a couple of weeks. So I trust everybody's going to get out there. We've never played the Intersection, then it wasn't a packed house, and I trust this will be no different. It's the official kickoff of the holidays.
Now, back to your whiskey for a second. You've had Outlaw Whiskey for some time. Now, it was years ago. I was living down in Indiana, and you were doing a promotion for it. This was quite a few years ago. Has that Outlaw brand really stayed the same from the beginning to where it's at today?
Oh man, we've grown into doing some really cool stuff. Like we have a barrel release program where we'll grow a barrel and we'll let it age for 5, 6, 7 years, and then we'll release the entire barrel that will go to a store, and the store will put all the cases of whiskey that came out of that, and it's straight out of the barrel into the bottle. So it's barrel strength, 115 to 120 proof, depending on the barrel, and it just has such a. Listen, you're gonna get me talking like a nerd because I'm such a whiskey nerd. You can. It's just like your children. You know, you can lay down 10 barrels at the same time with the same recipe, and 5 years later, you can open up those barrels, and each one of them tastes completely different. They all have their own personality, just like your kids. It's really cool.
Yeah, because a buddy of mine, I was in the station, and our morning show was out doing the remote with you. You were introducing the whiskey. I think it was in LaPorte, Indiana. But a buddy of mine that I played music with for many years, he went and got a couple bottles, and then one day after practice, he cracked one open, and it's good whiskey.
Thank you. We have the honey bourbon, the spice bourbon, the regular bourbon.
Yeah.
We have the barrel strength. I mean, it's something that I just can't stop, man. And if you ever get down to Western Tennessee, you can come and take a tour of the distillery.
And I think I'm qualified to say, and it's real good. My family's from Eastern Kentucky, and I come from a group of moonshine haulers from back in the day. And I also knew a lot about dry counties back in the day. That side just went wet about 10, 12 years ago. But, there's definitely some good whiskey in Kentucky, and it's glad to know that's where yours comes from.
Yeah, you got a good lineage there. I mean, you know, if you're from Kentucky, you generally know your whiskey.
I know you've been on the road and with your stuff with Full Throttle Saloon. What is the craziest thing or a couple things that you can think of that's happened at a Jackyl show, a hotel, the road, studio, or wherever that you might legally be able to say on the radio?
Well, we were shooting the Full Throttle Saloon TV show, and we had just wrapped shooting. The rally was over. Everybody was packing up and going home. And there was a cabin area down in the bottom part of the property. And we were walking down through the cabin area. Most of the people were all supposed to have been gone. And we heard a commotion. And we thought, what's happening in that cabin? Because nobody's supposed to be down here. And we go over there and we look through the blinds of the door. And we had this little fellow, midget. I guess you call him midgets, right? He called himself midget. And he had a full-size woman, and they were doing the dirty. And it's something I'd never thought of that I'd wanted to see or hadn't seen, but now I can tell you I've seen it. and that little fellow was doing the dirty, and it was something that we still to this day laugh about him because he was not scared to tackle what was a giant to him.
You know, I'm somebody that's always behind on movies and television, and because I work in the entertainment business like you, and we keep a lot different hours. So yeah. I didn't see Full Throttle Saloon when it came out, but one of the local TV stations runs it at night, and for the last 6 months, I've been watching those because I get home kind of late at night, and those are a lot of fun. But there was one episode where you were absolutely S-faced. I mean, it went to the stage. I was trying to watch that, but it was late at night. I fell asleep, never saw the ending. You know how they always preview this is coming up, and you were just absolutely wasted. What happened on that episode?
Oh, man, which time?
Well, I don't know. It was one time it took it to the stage where you were like hammered on stage and you were really pissed off.
Well, yeah. The one thing that comes to mind was I'd flown in from somewhere, and I'd been up for 24 hours, and we got backstage, and we were trying to do sound check, and then we were going to try to take a nap, and a storm came in, and it ended up delaying everything by a couple of hours because it was a really bad storm. When we finally came out to do the sound check and we finished that, it was starting to get up close to the showtime or when things were starting, and the guys from Bill Goldberg and just a bunch of the wrestlers and stuff, and then these girls named the Dom triplets, who were the beautiful blondes that posed naked in Playgirl together, the Dom triplets, famous.
Oh, yeah.
And they all started showing up, and they had some moonshine, real moonshine.
Yeah.
And we started drinking that, and there was some photographers and press magazine people there, and they were taking photographs of us, and we were doing shots. But anyway, by the time I hit the stage, I was trashed. And then with that storm coming in, there was a plug that got pulled on a stunt that I was going to do.
Yeah,
and I got way upset about that. And on top of me drinking, maybe I showed my ass a little bit. But I think that's probably what you're talking about.
Yeah. Now, I'd heard that the Full Throttle Saloon had burned down and has since been rebuilt. Do you still have a connection there?
Well, yeah, Michael and I, when the place burnt down, we went down the road. We bought 600 acres.
Wow.
And we were on 35 acres before. We're on 600 now. So we have an Olympic-sized swimming pool. We have an all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet and dinner buffet, 3 racetracks, a firing range. You can go and shoot 50 caliber guns and Uzi machine guns.
Oh, wow.
Harley Davidson put a big building on the property where they do big activations. And we've got Eagle Rider on the property. Eagle Rider rents motorcycles, so you can fly into Rapid City and rent a motorcycle from Eagle Rider. And then, of course, the Full Throttle Saloon sits on 50 of the 600 acres. And it's the largest stage in South Dakota with national acts playing every night and, 300 voluptuous go-go dancing bartenders if you like that kind of thing.
No, it looks like a good time. I know my cousin went out there. He says, man, you got to come out here and ride with me sometime to Full Throttle, man. He was blown away.
What I'm going to do? I'm going to challenge you right now because I have radio stations from all over the country that come in broadcast from Sturgis. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to challenge you right now to let me get you on that list. I'll work with your team. And let's get you to Sturgis. You should be broadcasting from the 2024 Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. Seriously, you should. And you stay right there at the Full Throttle Saloon's Pappy Oil Campground. And I'd love to have you. Let's. You got my number here, so let's make a commitment. Make a commitment in front of all your listeners right now that you're going to come and broadcast from out there.
You know what? I'd love to come out and do that. That'd be a hoot, man. Especially if I could drag a couple of them out there with me.
Well, come on.
You are a part of a lot of businesses. You've been a pretty business savvy rock guy from even back in the early days. I mean, you wear a lot of hats, man. How do you manage to keep all these different things going? You've got a couple different bands. You've got your whiskey, Full Throttle. I mean, it's just nonstop, a recording studio.
I've been very blessed, and I've got great people. I've been surrounded by really great people and people that are patient and understanding of that I do a lot of different stuff. It's all synergetic. I'm proud to have worked with the Harley Davidson Motor Company consulting and working with them over the last 8 years or so. And then I also consult the Eagle Rider Company and then in Top Coat, which is a car wash product. I mean, we have a great consulting arm of our company. We have the whiskey. We manufacture that stuff. I have a data gathering mechanism that's just it's a life-changing interactive data platform that I have 5 patents for. But all of that is possible because I've got really great people around me, and then of course the band, my brothers in the band, and they keep me centered. They keep me focused on what really matters is getting on stage and coming down together on that damn one. The power. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That power when the whole band hits right down on that one together. That everything else that you're dealing with in business or whatever disappears. There's nothing better.
Yeah, a lot of time outside interest can actually tear a band apart, and it's been amazed at the strength of Jackyl for this many decades that it's still just as strong as ever.
Yeah, well, it's seriously because everything is synergetic, and the guys in the band are they exemplify the lifestyle as well. Whether it's riding Harley Davidsons or you name it, they're Full Throttle all the way.
Now, I got a question for you. This might be a little bit odd, but, there was that time Brian Johnson's, he had the ear situation, had to step away from AC/DC for a moment. Did you ever think about throwing your hat in the ring for that position?
No, man, I can't. I've never been able to think of anybody but Brian Johnson singing in that band. I was not an advocate of anybody taking those shoes, and with all due respect, to whatever the band did, it's not my band, obviously. So, but you just asked me my personal opinion, and my personal opinion is that Brian Johnson is the voice of AC/DC, and it's flattering. How could I not be flattered that that people would ask me why I wouldn't sing with the band or why I wasn't asked to sing for the band or whatever. But while it's flattering, at the same time, it's like, I can't even, I didn't even want to think about that because I love Brian. He's such a mentor and such a dear friend. And, I was with him the last show that he played with him, before he had to take that break. I was there with him that night.
Wow.
And backstage and again, I was aware of everything that he was going through, but he's a tough son of a bitch, boy. He bounces back and strong, and he just had to deal with a little setback, and he did, and now he's where he should be.
I really felt that because of the connection between you two, you would never consider it. So I really appreciate your answer, because in my head, just as a musician, I thought Jesse James Dupree could help finish that tour. I know you know the songs. There's no way you don't know that catalog.
Somebody, we were talking the other day, and I was watching some video footage of Brian at playing the Power Trip Festival that they just played in California, and they just killed it. And he's 76 years of age, and I made the comment, to a buddy of mine. I said, if you're watching from first song to the last song, from his standpoint as a singer, the only way I can describe that is that's a mountain to climb.
Yes.
Singing that show is a mountain to climb, and every night that guy has to go to the top of Mount Everest. I mean, every night, and just I'm such a fan, and I'm proud to be friends with Brian, and I'm proud to be influenced by him, and I'm proud to have written these songs with him. And I mean, this Never Gets Old is just what a slab of rock and roll. And it's so funny because he called me up, and I was in the middle of a conference call with Harley Davidson, and he calls me up, and I stepped out of the meeting because it was Brian Johnson. So I stepped out. I said, "Excuse me." So I step out, and it's Brian, and he's starting to tell me an idea, but he's making excuses for it. Uh-huh. He's not telling me. He's going, but before he was telling me the idea, he was making excuses for it. And I said, "Well, just tell me what it is." And he says, "Do you remember what the Marines used to say?" And I said, "What's that?" and he starts singing one of those Marine Corps chants. When the Marines are marching in formation, when they go, "Well, I don't know, but I've been told."
Yeah.
And then they say something dirty.
Yeah.
Eskimo is mighty cold. Whatever. All these funny things. And so we're laughing about that. I mean, it was really funny. And I'm thinking, I camped out to get front row tickets for Back in Black's concert tour, when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And if you had told me then he was going to call me up and sing that Marine Corps chant to me, I would have, I wouldn't have believed you. But
wow.
So then he goes, "So I'm thinking we change it up a bit." And he goes, "The drums come in, boom, stop." And he goes, "I don't know, but I've been told."
Yeah.
We get song, singing rock and roll. And the next thing you know, we wrote that song. And so now you've got your hands on it, and it's out there, and people are enjoying it. And again, I've just threw it out to the universe, and the fact that it's doing what it's doing is pretty amazing. I mean, like I said, I'd not had any preconceived, expectations, and all of a sudden it's just, it's become very real, and to be on the radio charts beside, everybody from Foo Fighters to you name it. I mean, I was looking at the list, and being right there in the middle of all of it's just pretty. For me, that never gets old, right? I mean, I'm just like you. I mean, you feel the same way. It never gets old when you get to do something that you love.
After you finish this run of Jackyl dates, you're going to take this solo band out on the road.
I am going. We are. I mean, I can't not go out and play with my son. I mean, that's just, I got to do that. It's one of those things that I'm excited about. Jackyl's got a whole run of dates. I mean, nothing's going to interfere with Jackyl.
Right.
The guys in the band get excited. I mean, I was on the phone with Jeff Worley yesterday, and he was congratulating me on the record doing so great already, and he was asking because he's got a thing that him and Chris have done, and I'm helping them with getting that put together, and they're going to get mastered and stuff. So I mean, we're just family,
That'd be a cool tour package.
Oh yeah, me and Jackyl.
Yeah, well, take the two projects out together. That would be pretty fun since it's kind of intertwined anyway.
Maybe I don't know. Just I kind of probably just want to break out and do something. To be honest with you, just do something more separate, just so I can have the full run of the show and not have to be inhibited about what we're doing, and it'd be fun.
Right. Well, I don't know if you remember this, but you and I once played a show together. This was back in the late 90s. It was in Flint, Michigan, at the IMA Sports Arena. It was a radio show. It was Jackyl, 7 Mary 3, Cole Chamber, and a band I played in called Lazy Bones, and it was one of the best times of my life, man.
Wow. How funny is that? That's been a minute.
It has been. It was one of the loudest shows I've ever heard, too. That sound guy you had back then. I think you guys actually owned the sound rig, too, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We didn't own it. We didn't own it, but we carried it around with us everywhere.
It was one of the loudest shows I'd ever been a part of, but it's definitely one of those memories I'll never forget. And I've seen you guys several times over the years. It's always a blast. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys once again here at the intersection November 19th. People can get tickets at sectionlive.com. And I'm pretty certain it's going to be a party.
Well, man, I look forward to having a drink with you. I got you a cold drink, a belly washer on the bus, and I look forward to. Matter of fact, I'm not going to play if you're not there to bring us home. So you have to come out. You had to come out there and have a drink with us, and you got my cell here. Let's also we'll talk about Sturgis, and then if you got the inclination, you grab that song "Never Gets Old" and crank that son bitch up.
We're going to do that for you, Jesse. I really appreciate the time. We will stay connected, and we'll see you in just less than a month over at the intersection. All right, my friend.
Listen, I mean, you're a good man. I appreciate you. Thanks for let me personally invite everyone. Don't miss the Jackyl family reunion. It's the annual kickoff of the holidays. The intersection's one of our favorite rooms. Jackyl's Bar and Grill. WGRD. Pow.